Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a sledgehammer to arguably the biggest dogma in modern football, the idea that having the ball means controlling the game. For years, we've basically been told that possession is 9/10 of the law on the pitch. But as we're about to see, the data's telling a very, very different story. I think to score a goal, you need the ball. That quote right there from Pep Guardiola perfectly sums up the philosophy that has totally defined elite success for the last 15 years. It convinced an entire generation of fans, players, and managers that monopolizing possession was literally the only true path to victory. But what happens when the rest of the world figures out how to weaponize your own possession against you?
Well, spoiler alert, that golden rule, it is officially broken. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Staggering number, 40.8%. That is the exact amount of possession Real Madrid had when they conquered Europe by beating a massively dominant Manchester City side. Or look over at the Premier League, where Nottingham Forest is sitting super comfortably in third place with a league-bottom 40% average possession. If you're watching your team completely dominate the ball on a Saturday, this proves exactly why you really shouldn't feel safe. Letting the opponent have the ball isn't just a survival tactic anymore, folks. It's a winning strategy.
So, let's quickly run through today's tactical game plan. Number 1, the possession illusion. 2, why the ball is dangerous. 3, tactics of the low block. 4, Ancelotti's autonomous anti-system. And 5, redefining football control.
Starting right off with number 1, the possession illusion. If we look at domestic leagues right now, possession simply no longer guarantees points. Take Southampton, for example. They're dominating the ball with over 50% possession, yet they're sitting near the absolute bottom of the table with just 9 points. And then you have Nottingham Forest way up in third place with just 40%. Further down, Tottenham commands 57% possession but actually finds themselves tied on points with Everton, who averaged just 41%. It's wild. The teams playing that traditional possession football are really struggling to outpace clinical, counter-attacking sides.
And hey, we saw this exact same trend mirrored dramatically at the 2026 World Cup. When we look at expected goals efficiency, which, simply put, just measures who actually makes the absolute most of their opportunities, the low possession sides are the clear, undeniable winners. Bosnia generated an incredible 2.73 times their expected goals, and Paraguay really wasn't far behind. Meanwhile, teams like Turkey and South Korea, they completely monopolized the ball but sat at an absurdly low 0.55 and 0.59 efficiency rating. So they held the ball, but completely failed to generate any clinical chances.
Actually, perhaps nothing illustrates this better than this one incredible stat. England recorded the highest possession in a World Cup game since 1966 at nearly 79%. The result? 0 goals. Yeah, you heard that right. They were completely shut out, held to a 0-0 draw by a Ghanaian side that averaged just 33% of the ball all tournament. Ghana essentially proved that compact defending and efficient transitions can easily outweigh long spells of directionless control.
Which brings us nicely to section 2, why the ball is actually dangerous. So why is having the ball suddenly a bad thing? Well, the answer really lies in high turnovers. We're talking about sequences starting less than 40 meters from your opponent's goal. Because managers are now deploying these highly drilled, heavily systemized pressing traps, holding the ball in your own half has turned into a massive, massive risk. Opponents aren't just sitting back, they are literally waiting for you to try and play out from the back so they can pounce.
And honestly, the consequences of these traps are staggering. Modern pressing is forcing a record number of mistakes. Just look at how errors leading to a shot on goal have absolutely exploded. We went from 329 of those errors last season to a projected 482 this term. Premier League football is becoming riddled with mistakes, precisely because the pressure applied to the ball carrier is more intense and more organized than we have ever seen before.
Take Bournemouth, for example. They basically treat defending like a coordinated military operation. They use a highly sophisticated 3-step sequence. Think of it like a pressing web. Step 1, lay the tactical web. Step 2, target the opponent's absolute least capable ball-playing defender to force a bad pass. And Step 3, execute a rapid fast break. It's ruthless. They've earned a massive amount of errors from opponents simply by hunting together in these organized packs.
Moving on to section 3, tactics of the low block. Now, while a highline system aims to completely dominate territory, compress the midfield, and generate volume, it leaves teams incredibly vulnerable to quick transitions. The low block, however, that system wins by willingly absorbing pressure. By dropping deep, often right near their own penalty area, a low block happily concedes space in the middle of the pitch just to stay structurally compact. And when they do win that ball back, they strike ruthlessly on the counter with incredibly high expected goals efficiency.
The crucial point here is execution, and Nottingham Forest perfectly exemplifies this exact blueprint. They purposefully lure teams deep into their defensive box. In fact, they currently rank first in the league for defensive third clearances and second for tackles. And here's the kicker. Once they win the ball, they do not look to slowly build possession. No way. They launch devastatingly fast attacks in just 3 or 4 touches, punishing exposed defenses before they can even react. So what you really should take away from this is that defensive clearances aren't acts of desperation anymore. They are literally the first step of a calculated attack.
All right, Section 4, Ancelotti's autonomous anti-system. Modern purists often champion this heavily structured positional play where every single player is confined to a specific zone like it's a giant chessboard. Carlo Ancelotti, however, deploys what analysts are now calling an anti-system. It's all about bending the tactical structure to amplify player autonomy. Instead of constraining his veteran players to some strict, rigid philosophy, he grants them the creative freedom to interpret space on the fly and play much more directly.
In the results, they're absolutely historic. Just look at Real Madrid's 2021-22 Champions League run. By empowering player autonomy, they beat Europe's absolute elite while consistently, almost stubbornly giving up the ball. We're talking 45.7% possession against PSG, 43.8% against Chelsea, and just 40.8% against Manchester City. Unbelievably, they actually lost the expected goals battle in 4 of their 7 knockout matches. They proved, without a doubt, that individual brilliance and directness, when you actually unleash it rather than restrict it, can conquer pure structural possession.
Finally, Section 5, redefining football control.
I absolutely love this quote from Thomas Tuchel. He said, "The next pass counts, the next action counts." And that hits the nail on the head. As managers are realizing, the priority is no longer about accumulating endless, safe, sideways passes just to artificially inflate those possession stats. It's about ensuring that every single forward action is sharply effective. Ultimately, control is about intent. It's not just about retention.
For a really clear picture of this, look at this extreme example from the World Cup between Australia and Turkey. Australia surrendered a whopping 72% possession to Turkey. They faced 30 shots. 30! Yet their defensive organization absorbed that pressure perfectly, and when they finally got the ball, they were totally ruthless, punishing the opposition with 2 clinical strikes to win the game. So Turkey had the ball, sure, but Australia had the control. So if we had to write a brand new formula for the modern game, it would basically look like this. Modern control equals spatial intrusion, plus XG efficiency, plus adaptability. It's measured by how well you can intrude into dangerous spaces, how brutally efficient you are with the actual chances you create, and how well your team can adapt to exploit the opponent's specific weaknesses, whether that means pressing high up the pitch or dropping deep into a block. Which leaves us with a really fascinating reality to ponder as we wrap up. With the era of pure possession appearing to be well past its prime, and the ball itself increasingly becoming a literal dangerous weapon for the team holding it, we have to ask a pretty massive question. If control no longer requires the ball, what does the next great evolution of football actually look like? Well, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll leave you to think on that.